What's up, beautiful people? I'm back with some news that could completely change your plans if you're thinking about relocating to northern Colorado this year. Now, I've been here for the last 6 years and I've never seen changes happening this fast in northern Colorado. Now, some of these changes are going to save you money, others might cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, and a few could completely change which city you choose to call home. Now, if you're planning a move to Longmont, Loveland, Fort Collins, Greeley, or anywhere else in northern Colorado, do not make this decision until you watch this entire video. I'm going to break down exactly what's happening right now that affects your daily life, your commute, your water bill, and even where you can park your darn car. I'm going to be completely honest with you about what's really happening in northern Colorado, not a year from now, not last year, but right now. As someone who's lived here for the last 6 years and helped hundreds of families make the move to this awesome area, I've seen a lot of changes. But 2025 is different. We're dealing with massive construction projects, new laws that could change how you live, and infrastructure changes that are going to impact your daily life for years to come. The thing is, most people moving here have no idea that these changes are even happening. They're looking at houses online and maybe taking a quick weekend trip to come check out the neighborhoods, but they're missing the big picture. They don't know that their future street might be torn up for the next 2 to 3 years, or that their water bill is about to jump up by hundreds of dollars a year, or that the commute that they've planned might not exist anymore. And that's why I'm making this video, because if you're going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a new home here, you deserve to know what you're really getting into. What's up, beautiful people? My name is Noah, your northern Colorado real estate and lifestyle expert, and I am here to help you and guide you through the process of relocating to northern Colorado. My cell number is gonna pop up right down here, 720-741-7474. Call me with questions large or small, because I'm really an easy guy to get a hold of. And if you want a behind the scenes look at exactly what life looks like right here in northern Colorado, shoot me a follow on Instagram at real.estate.hippie. Now let's get started with the biggest changes that are going to affect your daily life. Now, right now, there are 3 massive infrastructure projects happening right here in northern Colorado that will change how you live, work, and get around. First, let's talk about what's happening in downtown Loveland. Now, if you've been considering Loveland as your new home, you need to know about the Heart Improvement Plan. Now, this isn't some small repair. They are completely tearing up and rebuilding 5 blocks of 4th Street from Garfield Avenue to Washington Avenue. Now, we're talking about a complete transformation of the downtown Loveland area. And that started in February and won't be finished until winter of 2026. That's if everything goes correctly during construction. And you and I both know that the chances of that happening are slim at best. Now, here's what this really means for you, is that if you're thinking about a home near downtown Loveland, or if you work in downtown Loveland, your life is going to be disrupted for almost 2 whole years. Now, of course, they're doing this project in phases, but each phase takes 6 to 8 months. And during the construction period, the roads are completely closed to cars. And of course, yes, you can still walk to the businesses and go downtown, but forget about convenience of being able to pull your car right up to the front of the restaurants or breweries. The city says they're upgrading the water and stormwater infrastructure, replacing all of the concrete, which is going to be great, changing the diagonal parking to parallel parking, and adding new streetscape features just to help the look and feel of downtown. Now, all of this sounds great for the long term, but if you're moving here in 2025, you're going to be living through a construction zone. Now, of course, the finished product will be beautiful, but getting there might be a little rough. The second major project is something that's going to impact everyone in northern Colorado, whether you realize it or not. And it's called the Northern Integrated Supply Project, or NISP for short. And it's all about water. Now, I know water infrastructure doesn't sound exciting, but this is absolutely massive. They're building a new water reservoir between Fort Collins and Laramie to supply water for the growing northern Colorado population. Hey, sounds good, right? Well, here's the problem. The cost has exploded from $400 million to $2.2 billion. Yes, 2.2 billion, you gotta be kidding me. Now the cost is actually increased by 400%. Now what the heck does that mean for you? Well, it means that your water bills are going to go up. Some cities are already backing out of this project because they absolutely can't afford it. Others are passing the costs on to the residents. Now, if you're moving to northern Colorado, you need to budget for a little bit of higher water cost. Not just for this year or next year, but for the next decades to come as these bonds get paid off. The third major infrastructure change is the I-25 North Express Lane project. And if you plan on commuting anywhere between northern Colorado and the Denver metro area, even if you plan just to go I-25 to I-70 to get up in the Rocky Mountains, you are going to be impacted daily. Now they've completed 20 miles so far, and they're working on the section between Meade and Berthoud right now. Now the good news is that when it's finally finished, your commute to Denver will be faster and more reliable. The bad news is that construction is causing major delays and lane closures all the way throughout 2025. So if you're house hunting and your job is in Denver, make sure you drive the commute during construction hours, not just on the weekends. Now let's get specific about what's happening in each one of the major cities in northern Colorado, because these changes could completely influence where you decide to live. Fort Collins is seeing some of the biggest development changes in the northern economic corridor. There's a massive new housing development called Union Park, and it's going up behind the Front Range Village. Now we're talking about 603 housing units on 32 acres, plus a daycare and office space, coffee shops, you name it. Now the first phase of this should be done soon. If you're looking for new construction in Fort Collins, this could be great news. But if you live near the Front Range Village, get ready for years of construction, traffic, noise, and congestion. They're also building something called the Mark Fort Collins, which is a student housing near CSU, and the Bloom development, which adds 360 apartments in 15 three-story buildings. Now here's what this means. Fort Collins is growing fast, and there's going to be more housing options for you to choose from, but infrastructure is struggling to keep up. Traffic is getting slightly worse, parking is getting harder to find, and the character of some of these neighborhoods is changing rapidly. There's also a major road project that you need to know about. The Trial by Road is completely closed at College Avenue until spring of 2026. So if your daily routine involves that intersection, you need to plan alternative routes over the next year. In Longmont, the changes are more subtle, but still important. The city has approved a new capital improvement program that includes fiber infrastructure, swimming pool maintenance, and park improvements, which we can all enjoy. They're also dealing with the new state housing laws that require them to allow accessory dwelling units and reduce parking requirements. Now, for those of you who don't know what an accessory dwelling unit is, or what we commonly refer to as ADU, it is a small dwelling. Depending on the property size is how much square footage you're allowed to have. But that's a second residence that you can put right in your backyard. Now what this means for you is that Longmont neighborhoods might start to look a little different. Your neighbor might be allowed to build a small apartment right in their backyard, and new developments might have less parking than you're used to. Now these aren't necessarily bad changes, but they're changes that will affect property values and, of course, the character of these neighborhoods. Now let's jump from Longmont to Greeley, which just approved a $541 million budget for 2025, which sounds impressive until you realize they also increased the water utility rates. The average monthly water bill in Greeley is going up, a whopping $15 starting this year. They've also adopted something called the Mobility Development Plan. Sounds kind of technical, but it's just the city's way of trying to manage the growth in traffic. If you're considering Greeley because it's more affordable than the other northern Colorado cities, make sure you factor in these utility increases. There's also ongoing construction on US 85, where northbound lanes are closed 24/7 from 5th Street to H Street. So if you work in Greeley or commute through it, this is going to impact your daily drive. Now let's talk about what's really happening with housing right here in northern Colorado, because there seems to be a lot of confusion and misinformation out there. The Northern Colorado housing market started 2025 with what experts are calling steady growth and market shifts. That's a polite way of saying things are changing fast and nobody's quite sure what the heck is happening next. But here's what I'm seeing on the ground. Inventory is up compared to last year, which is great if you're buying a home because you have more options to choose from. But prices haven't dropped significantly. Interest rates are still slightly higher, which means your monthly payment is still going to be substantial, even with home prices leveling off. Now, having said this, there are several ways we can negotiate with the seller, including having them pay to buy down your interest rate, which is going to save you around $500 to $700 a month. Now, the fastest growing area in Northern Colorado, place you've never heard of, is Timnath with 8.5% growth, and Johnstown with 6% growth. And if you're looking for a newer community with really good amenities, these might be worth considering. But remember, fast growth means construction, traffic, and some unavoidable growing pains. There's also new state housing laws that are changing how cities can regulate development. Cities now have to allow accessory dwelling units on single-family lots. Now, this generally is going to allow for denser housing. Now, some cities are fighting these changes, while others are embracing them. This creates uncertainty about what neighborhoods will look like 5 or 10 years from now. And if you're buying a home as a long-term investment, you need to understand how these laws might change your area. Now, here's my honest assessment, whether you asked for it or not. If you're buying a home in Northern Colorado, you're more than likely getting a bargain, as homes are sitting on the market for longer, forcing sellers to negotiate. The key is to buy in an area where you can handle the changes that are coming. Don't buy next to a major construction project unless you can live with it. And if you can, you will see your home values jump as soon as these projects are completed. Now, here's something that most people just don't consider, is the cost of living in Northern Colorado is about 13% higher than the national average. And your housing costs, guess what? 14% higher than the national average. But the utilities, guess what? We get a little trinket, 14% lower than the national average, at least for now. The problem is that utility costs are going up fast because of infrastructure projects like the NISP. So that 14% savings in utilities might disappear over the next few years. But if you're like me and my family, we are happy to pay a premium to get to live the Colorado lifestyle that we enjoy so much. Now let's talk about getting around in Northern Colorado, because it's where you're gonna see some of the biggest changes that are happening. If you commute to Denver, the I-25 Express Lane project will eventually make your life a little bit better, but right now, it's a little slower. Construction is causing delays, lane closures, and unpredictable travel times, which means that you might be 5 minutes late. Now, my advice is this: if you're house hunting and you commute to Denver, drive the route during rush hour on a weekday, not on the weekend when traffic is a little bit lighter. Because what looks like a reasonable commute on Saturday morning might be a little longer at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. Within Northern Colorado, traffic is getting worse as the population grows. Ding! Fort Collins is particularly congested, especially around the CSU and the downtown area. Loveland's downtown construction is creating detours and delays, and Greeley's road construction is disrupting all the normal traffic patterns. These cities are trying to address this with improved public transit and bike infrastructure, but let's be honest, Northern Colorado is still a car-dependent area. You're going to need a reliable vehicle, and you're going to spend more time in traffic than you might expect. But if you're used to big city traffic, this is absolutely not going to bother you. But if you are coming from a smaller town or a rural area, the traffic might be slightly irritating. Honestly, I drive around Northern Colorado on a daily basis, and an extra 5 to 8 minutes in the car doesn't bother me because I get to stare at the big, beautiful Rocky Mountains and catch up on my podcasts. So what does all of this mean if you're thinking about moving to Northern Colorado? First is the hard improvement plan in Loveland won't be done until winter 2026, and I would even expect some further delays. The I-25 Express Lane project is going to be ongoing for years to come, and the various road projects throughout the region are causing minor disruptions. Second, you want to budget for a higher cost than you might expect, because your water bills and utilities are going to keep rising. Third, Choose your location carefully. Don't just look at the house in the immediate neighborhood. Check what infrastructure improvements are coming and understand how the new housing laws might change the neighborhood. Fourth is be realistic about commuting. If you work in Denver, factor in construction delays and rising costs of gas. Or just don't drive a gas-guzzling V8. Now here's my bottom line recommendation. Colorado is an absolutely outstanding place to live, but 2025 and 2026 are going to be years of transition as this critical infrastructure gets updated. The region is investing in its future with these infrastructure projects, but that means short-term pain for long-term gain. Make sure you're prepared for both. Now that's the real story about Northern Colorado's changes. And I know some of it is a lot to process, and some of it might not be what you wanted to hear. But I'd rather give you the truth now than have you surprised after you've already moved here. If you're seriously considering a move to anywhere in Northern Colorado, I'd love to help you navigate these changes and find the right area for both your personal and professional goals. I'm a super easy guy to get a hold of. Please call or text me at 720-741-7474 with any questions, large or small. And if you want to know the best places to buy in Northern Colorado right now, go check out this video right here where I break every single city down. Now stay adventurous, my friends. I'll see you in the next video.